It was a difficult surgery, but he is going to make it.
Thank God.
The emergency room was unusually quiet. Doctors rushed from one room to another, while nurses prepared for emergency surgery. On a hospital bed lay Marcus Johnson, a 62-year-old Black American real estate billionaire from Atlanta. His tailored suit had been cut open by paramedics. His breathing was weak. Outside the operating room stood 9 frightened children and 3 women who had once called him husband. No one knew that before the night was over, the Johnson family would never be the same again, because the surgery wasn't the biggest problem. The DNA test was. To understand what happened that night, you have to understand who Marcus Johnson was. He didn't start rich. He started with $300, a beat-up Chevy, and a hunger nobody could talk him out of. By 25, he'd flipped his first property. By 40, he owned half a block of downtown Atlanta. By 60, Johnson Realty Group was a name whispered with respect in every boardroom, from Atlanta to Charlotte. But empires like that don't just cost money, they cost family. Marcus had been married 3 times. 3 women, 9 children, 1 empire. It happened at a groundbreaking ceremony. Marcus was standing on a stage in front of 200 investors, cutting a ceremonial ribbon for his newest luxury development, when he suddenly gripped his chest and went down. Heart attack, the paramedics said at first. But by the time they reached Grady Memorial, it was clear this was something more complicated. A cardiac event, tangled up with decades of stress, 60-hour work weeks, and a body that had quietly been failing long before anyone noticed. The hospital called family. All of them. Regina arrived first, still composed even after all these years, her 3 grown children trailing behind her. Talia came next, sharp-eyed and guarded, her 4 kids spread out in the waiting room like they were staking territory. And finally Danielle rushed in, mascara streaked, clutching her 2 youngest still in elementary school, like she was afraid to let them out of her sight. 9 siblings, 3 mothers. One waiting room that felt more like a courtroom than a place of grief. They barely spoke to each other. Some of them had never even met. And then a doctor walked out with a clipboard, a look on her face that silenced the entire room. "Before we can proceed with surgery," she said carefully, "we need immediate family to consider a bone marrow and tissue donor match. Time is critical. We've already run preliminary compatibility testing on family members present." She paused. "There's something in these results you all need to see." Of the 9 children in that waiting room, only 6 were a genetic match, consistent with being Marcus Johnson's biological children. 3 were not. One by one, I started shifting around the room. 9 siblings who had grown up believing they shared the same father were suddenly doing silent math. Talia's second son, Xavier, 29 years old, and the current co-o of Johnson Realty Group, stepped forward. "Which 3? He asked, voice tight. "Tell us which 3. The genetic markers didn't match for Camille. They didn't match for Derek, and they didn't match for Skylar. Camille turned to her mother. "Mom," she said quietly, "is there something you need to tell me?" Regina didn't answer. She simply closed her eyes. And that silence said more than any confession could have. Derek was pulling out his phone, opening a text thread, his hands shaking as he typed, because Derek already suspected who his mother might be protecting. This wasn't just about a hospital mistake. This was about a secret that had been hiding inside the Johnson family for over 3 decades. Derek stared at his phone, his thumb hovering over the screen, like it might burn him. "I heard about Marcus. We need to talk. Not here, not now, but soon. W." There was only one person Derek knew who signed messages that way. His uncle Talia's older brother, Walter. Derek's hands were shaking as he slipped the phone into his pocket. He looked up to find his mother, Talia, watching him from across the waiting room. "Derek," she said quietly, pulling him aside. "Whatever you're thinking about doing right now, don't. Not here. You knew," Derek said. It wasn't a question. Talia's silence confirmed it. Regina found a private corner near the chapel, Camille following close behind, arms crossed, eyes red. "Mom, talk to me." Regina exhaled a breath she seemed to have been holding for 31 years. "Before I married your father," she said slowly, "I was engaged to someone else. I found out I was pregnant with you, right as everything with your father was becoming serious. I told myself love was what made a father, not blood. So you never told him? You never told me?" Camille turned away, tears streaking down her face. Across the waiting room, Danielle knelt in front of 10-year-old Skylar, trying to explain something no child should have to hear in a hospital hallway. Mommy, why is everyone looking at us funny? Danielle's mind raced through a memory she'd buried for over a decade, a brief, painful separation from Marcus, early in their marriage, a separation she had never told anyone about. She hadn't accounted for a hospital DNA panel, undoing 11 years of silence in a single sentence. Derek found his Uncle Walter, 40 minutes later, sitting alone in the hospital's parking garage, smoking a cigarette he clearly hadn't touched in years. You knew, Derek said, standing over him. All this time, you knew Marcus wasn't my father. Walter's hand trembled as he stubbed out the cigarette. Your mother and I grew up dirt poor, Derek. Before Marcus, there was someone else. Someone your mother loved, before she ever set eyes on Marcus Johnson. His name was James Whitfield. He and your mother were together for 3 years. He died in a car accident 4 months before you were born. Talia was devastated. When Marcus came into her life not long after, offering stability, she took it. She never told him the timeline didn't quite add up. She asked me, on the day you were born, to never say a word. Walter reached into his jacket and pulled out a worn, folded photograph. I kept this for you, Walter said. I always thought that one day, you'd have the right to see it. Derek stared at the photograph of a father he never knew he had, in a parking garage, while the man he'd called Dad his entire life fought for his own life, 2 floors above him. Back in the surgical waiting room, the doctor reappeared, her expression grave. Mr. Johnson is stable for now, she said, but the next 72 hours are critical. He's going to need his family more than ever. She paused, glancing around at the fractured group in front of her, 3 women who could barely look at each other. 9 siblings suddenly divided into 2 invisible categories, his and not his. Fatherhood isn't only written in a lab report, she added quietly. But it was clear that kindness alone wasn't going to hold this family together. 3 nights later, Marcus opened his eyes for the first time. Weak, disoriented, surrounded by monitors, and the steady beep of a heart that had nearly stopped beating for good. The first face he saw was Derek's, standing at the foot of his hospital bed, arms crossed, an old photograph held tightly in his hand. Derek, Marcus rasped. What happened? Derek stepped closer, his voice steady, despite everything churning underneath. We need to talk, Dad, he said, about the will, about the company, and about 3 names none of us expected to be having this conversation about. Marcus's eyes widened, because in that single sentence, he understood immediately that someone had finally opened the door on a truth he had spent decades hoping would never see daylight, his own.
Marcus has his own secret, and it's about to collide with everything the family just learned. Subscribe so you don't miss episode 3, because things are about to get a lot more complicated.